Oh, ladies and gents, some more Godzilla vs. Kong news. Director Adam Wingard explains why Lance Reddick was mostly cut from Godzilla vs. Kong. He also addresses the reshoots. This article is linked down below. Check it out with me. But the most important thing here for me, and the most interesting thing for me here, is the reshoot element. Because there were so many rumours of that. They were like, reshoots are terrible. They're changing the whole film. It's awful. They're going on forever. Oh, it's so bad. Now, we don't have to believe him, of course. Take it with a grain of salt. But he does say that actually they were the shortest reshoots of the entire MonsterVerse slate. Which I find interesting. And I do think Lance Reddick's role in this could have been interesting. Because he was top billed. But then he wasn't really in the film, was he? So we'll have a look. But before we do, ladies and gents, and like I said, this article is linked down below. Something else that's linked down below is my film Blackfield. It's the Blu-ray. We're selling the Blu-ray. It's down below in the description box. Check it out. It's handled in-house over at my website, productionhfilms.com. There's a link down below. There's loads of stuff on there. The film, the prequel film, the hour-long making of documentary, concept art, the soundtrack, production stills, you name it, it's all there. Check it out. Buy it. Support me. Support films. Let's check this out. So, despite being listed in the opening credits of his latest movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, John Wick actor was on screen for all of 5 seconds, give or take. Which he was. Great actor as well, actually. Yeah, like, great actor. So, in a new interview with Games Radar, Godzilla vs. Kong director Adam Wingard discussed how Reddick's role as the director of Monarch was supposed to be bigger and why it was ultimately cut down to nothing. Now, this is interesting stuff. So, he goes, originally, Lance's part was a little bit bigger as he plays the Monarch director. He's running the organisation. And we didn't really see Monarch in this. They chose to just sort of eliminate it, which I thought was a massive shame, actually. And it didn't make an awful lot of sense narratively speaking, because I looked at it and I was like, well, why? Why would just Monarch just sit behind and just go, yeah, you could deal with all of this stuff? They'd be like, no, what are you doing? We need to be on this. We're government backed. But they weren't. Very odd. Odd decision. So Wingard said, as Monarch's director, Reddick was supposed to set the plot in motion from the beginning. That was the case until the filmmaker got to the editing phase. And then, obviously, I think people were like, you should probably cut this down a little bit. We need to keep this under X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Like, we don't know. But he explains it as this. There was a scene earlier in the film, a big boardroom scene where they're setting up the mission. Interesting, because it was done all from Apex's side. Wingard continued and said he had a larger role, but ultimately we didn't need that scene. We changed a couple of plot details during the editing process, so the earlier stuff got cut out. So they just changed the plot of the movie from the human element, which is not necessarily bad, but it's still interesting. And he would add further and say, now that stuff just counts as a fun cameo. He is still top credited, and it's still part of his contract. It's funny, because he shows up in the opening credits and then turns up for 4 lines, maybe 3, in the movie, ultimately. And that's interesting, because it just goes to show, like, what can actually change in the edit bay. Because he'd also revealed that there was, like, 5 hours of total footage of this film. But it is interesting. It's fascinating. Now, this gets onto the reshoot element. So, Wingard next debunked a lingering rumour about reshoots, which there was lots of rumours about it, saying that they were extensive, they're changing the whole movie, they're worried, they're concerned. And the way Warner Brothers was approaching it was, it seemed that they were concerned. Now, Warner Brothers are only the distributors, Legendary are the ones making it, but Warner Brothers were clamping down on any leaks, like copyright strikes galore, sending emails with lawyers in, CC'd and stuff like this, which is very, very unusual behaviour from a studio, actually. And normally that reiterates concern. It basically tells me and everyone else that they are scared about this film. They don't want anything to get out because they think it's going to damage the reputation. Very odd. But he says, further anyway, he says it turns out that less time was devoted to reshooting material than in any previous MonsterVerse entry. So the reshoots that they did were not reshoots. So how they changed the film was just in the edit bay, which probably makes it feel like the human element is a bit choppier than it should have been. Because they didn't reshoot anything. They changed the plot by editing it down, which is probably the worst way to go, I think. I don't know. But he says, anyway, we actually did the least amount of reshoots than any of these MonsterVerse films. Normally, they do about 2 weeks, but we only did 5 days. And he went on to say that this is where his background as a low-budget indie filmmaker came in handy. Which, again, I love this stuff. This is interesting. So he says, we did have to be quite surgical, as we did change one element of the plot, and it affected a couple of scenes at the beginning and a couple of scenes at the end. That's where my low-budget, no-budget background comes in. You have to be very crafty and able to think in those terms. We were very surgical in those terms. And Wingard assures his surgical actions and thinking created the ultimate cut of the movie in the version that came to be seen on HBO Max, saying, this is the ultimate version of the film. I would never do a different version of it. Now, he does note that he would have liked to have spent longer doing the sound design. Fine. Okay, no worries, I guess. Which he says here anyway. So in a different conversation, Wingard told Den of Geek that there is enough footage for a 5-hour cut, but remains steadfast that he won't make a special director's edition, a la Zack Snyder. For me, this is the version that worked the best, and I don't see any reason to do a director's cut. Which makes sense, I guess. But you done dirty on Lance Reddick. Come on, man. He's a good actor. I like Lance Reddick. I think he's really cool. He's a good actor. Very, very good in John Wick. Very, very good in John Wick. Such class and gravitas that he brings to the performances that he does. And it's not even that. It's the fact that you cut him down to basically remove Monarch, which in my eyes, like, I liked the film a lot, but it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to not have Monarch in the film. And a lot of people will say, well, but they are, though, because Carl Chandler's character's there. Yeah, but he's not, is he? He's literally there on the end of the phone hassling Millie Bobby Brown's character, going, where's my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And no one believes Godzilla. No one's like, oh, Godzilla's doing this because clearly nefarious actions are in place here. Clearly something's going on. It's like everyone's had a brain hemorrhage between movies and just, had temporary amnesia. It's so frustrating. It always frustrates me when movies or series do this, when the characters forget, in terms of how they act and what they say in a movie, what happened in the last one. And they do it in between series as well. Like Stranger Things was notorious for this. Season 1 to Season 2. Season 2, they go and find some little slug worm thing, and they're like, oh, just keep it. Like, goddamn, did you not see the thing that happened last season, you idiot? And this is the same stuff here. Like, Godzilla clearly wasn't going to go on a rampage unprovoked. So, Monarch should have been involved, but it's still fascinating to see how it got developed. And I love this stuff. It's always interesting. So let me know what you think down below in the comment section if you're new here. Do hit subscribe. Thanks so much, though. Take care.